Most of these plugs came out real stiff. You can see all this crud that's built up on the threads. I think a lot of that's from engine oil that works its way in to the threads and then hardens over age, particularly if these plugs have been in there for 60, 70, 80,000 or more miles. Now the plug wear is significant. These plugs definitely need to be replaced, but look at how dirty all these threads are. So I've become a real fan of not only replacing the plugs with new plugs, but cleaning the threads in the cylinder head before replacing them. Let me show you why. Now there's only one tool I use. I use a swab, a very high quality swab that is, you know, minimal lint, because you want to get in there and work those threads and clean them real well. You don't want the lint coming off on the threads. I don't like using these wood swabs because the wood could break and then you lose this down inside the cylinder. Can you imagine how frustrating that could be? So the only thing I use are these very high quality swabs with the plastic handles, and I use cleaner and I soak this with cleaner and then work it in and turn it just like I would be turning a spark plug in and out, and I do it on every hole. Now let me show you this in operation and you'll see just how dirty these threads are. Okay, if that last one didn't make you a believer, let's do one more and see how bad that one is. Now when I spray the carb cleaner on here, now if you don't have carb cleaner, you can use mineral spirits or paint thinner to soak this swab in. You may want to squeeze it a little bit like that, and then we're going to put this in and we're just going to lightly rotate it. Remember, you don't want to force it, and we're going to just lightly rotate it. You'll feel it going on the threads, and then we're going to move it in and out. Remember, don't force it because you don't want any excess part of the head of this swab coming off inside. Now watch this. Can you believe that? Can you believe how dirty that is in just one application? Now it is possible to clean the swab off with a light rag and re-soak it and go in again. Here you can see the difference between the gap in the old plug that I removed and the new plug. You see how much wear is in these old plugs. This engine was missing a little bit at idle, which made me want to take a closer look at the plugs. Now when I'm installing spark plugs, I prefer using a little bit of anti-seize compound, and I'm going to stress a little bit. Now if I didn't take the time to clean those threaded holes, adding a little bit of anti-seize wouldn't really help a whole lot, you know, 5 years down the road, or how many years it might be before I remove these plugs again. Now when I sell my spark plug kits, I provide a little bit of the anti-seize compound. The reason I only provide a little bit is because I don't want anybody smearing it on. You do not coat the hole threads. You do not want anti-seize compound down here where the spark plug seats to the head, because that could affect the grounding of the plug. You do not want anti-seize coming out the tip of the plug and getting on the tip and possibly fouling up your O2 sensor. So what I do is I have these swabs, which won't produce any lint, and I put a small amount of anti-seize compound right down the center of the threads. And you're going to see what I mean when I say very small amount. Okay, that's it. That's all I put on there. Then when I go to install the plug, I use this little section of 6-inch hose here that will allow me to get that plug down in there and feel it to start. See that? I can feel it start into the threads. If this won't turn in all the way with this hose, then the threads are either galled, dirty, or you're trying to cross-thread the plug into the cylinder head. So once I get it down in there a ways, I'll pull the hose off, and now I can apply the spark plug socket. I'll go ahead and tighten these down to factory torque specifications. You'll have to check your owner's manual or service manual to determine the torque specification for the spark plugs for your particular engine. And finally, when you're reinstalling these spark plug wires, use silicone dielectric grease with these foam swabs that I provide in the kit and go right down into the base and totally coat the inside of the rubber and down at the tip. And you'll notice even when you install the wire, it snaps on much easier. And of course, when you go to remove it, look, it just comes right off. And that silicone dielectric grease is going to make this much easier. You won't have that problem removing these in the future. Never reinstall these plug wires without using the silicone dielectric grease to coat the rubber inside the connector.